Guys, I'm with Anthony. You saw the video of him the other day saying there's no Sharia law in Dearborn. Then you saw a tweet today that sort of opposed what he was saying. So Anthony, can you clear that up?
Yeah, so we have a social media team that has responsibility with my social media messaging, and they have, as of today, they were actually terminated because they're putting out tweets that don't necessarily stand with my message. I stood down here on Friday in a mosque explaining to the people about my experience in Dearborn. I come down here today and those same people that were terminated showed up in a motorhome with my face on it.
So those guys down there causing all that,
they're not affiliated with me.
Hello, the English speakers, and welcome to the water tower in Houston and some red houses with white corners that are not so common in Denmark. Oddly, instead, they are common in Sweden and Norway, actually. But today we will enlighten your blind spots about conspiracies and psyops that are so ridiculous that they are funny. But let's start by taking a big, deep breath. And then we'll enlighten you about Tartaria also. But first, I realized that I can upload a video so that you don't have to have those 48 seconds of a countdown. So I can, for example, upload a video about Jake Lang that I hope that you just saw. Not the entire of it, maybe. We'll see what happens with that upload. I have uploaded that separately anyway. But I remind you, Arabic grammar, it's called one sak and many sukuk. And the pronunciation is my Swedish pronunciation of one sak and many sukuk. So these are bonds, Muslim or Christian bonds. They are probably called something else in Christian, but we don't sell them anymore. But this is basically a kind of stock or part investment. So you get your money back, but you also get part of the profit from whatever business or country you are investing in. So it's not usury, it's not riba, as the Muslims call it, that haram thing. And it's much safer for both the one who is investing and the one who is receiving the extra funding. So a good idea that we need to spread enlightenment about. And I will remind you, gold is a satanic sacrifice to Satan to secure the monetary system. So you sacrifice gold to Satan by locking it up in a big vault, and in that way you can control this psyop called gold to destroy and control trade. Someone made a list of my BitChute uploads, which is good in general. Even if you don't use BitChute, you can see all the headlines. You can also do that on for example, Substack, but they do not have a good list. Substack need to work on their listing and searching of my many daily posts, so that it should be much easier to find them and search in the entire text of them. Axios, the disgraced publication that have been pushing some fake propaganda now and then, but they report that USA and Russia, they have a secret that is not secret anymore because Axios got hand of it. So Russia and USA has a secret peace plan. It involves 28 points and not Ukraine. And basically Russia can get a lot of stuff from Ukraine. That's not part of the peace plan, just between Russia and USA. So we'll see about that. I remind you that Ukraine was never meant to win. The war was constructed to destroy Ukraine and as much as possible of Russia, and to profit from the corruption thanks to the war, and maybe even, I will put that out, to strengthen Xi and Putin. That is exactly what this war has done. Why would they do that? because they want strong leaders that can rule parts of the world and force Russia and China together so that they can recreate Tartaria, which they have destroyed once. So now we're out in figuratively speaking. So let's start with this psyop. It's kind of flat earth kind of psyop. The psyop says that Tartaria was a big global empire that just 120 years ago it was suddenly disappearing, and then they are trying to cover over all the tracks. It's sort of true, but not in the way that the conspiracy lunatics are painting it. So Tartaria, that is the entire Eurasian center, north center, everything that is not China and India basically, and north of that and north of Arabia. And this was an area that was filled with Indo-Europeans, Turkic people, Uralic people, Mongolian people, and Chinese, and even Semitic people like Jews and Arabs who were traveling across this area. Thanks to the Mongols, for example, they had trade where they could trade all over this huge landmass. And it looks like a one big empire, even though it wasn't. Of course it was during the Mongol times, but they still have the same professionals that went there. They built their part of the towns. They had their own trading posts in the cities. So it looks like it was one big empire. And then, of course, things got destroyed. And they tried to do that in the end of the 19th century, and then it ended with the Federal Reserve and ADL and a lot of other things that they implemented in USA and also in Germany, across Europe, and then of course the World War I and the Bolshevik Revolution. So the world before the First World War was very, very different, and you can see, if you ignore all the other evidence, you can actually see a global empire. So we have stories here from Sweden, people up here in the north, and they thought, oh, I know how to go to the next village, but I have a bike now. And I can take this bike and I can bike, I don't know, to the Mediterranean, for example, and they can do that. They had money enough for food for a month or so, and they could even take some jobs on the way to get some more monies. There were no passports. You have to, maybe if you manage to spot the border guard somewhere in Europe, they might say, do you have any tobacco or something that we should tax? Otherwise it was just to bike through, and there were no problem. So that was a very free world here in Europe, and you have other situations, and these European powers that had the free world in Europe, they of course dominated much of the rest of the world with their British and French and the broken Spanish Empire at that time. So you can imagine that when World War I started, and then they had suddenly passports after that, and totalitarian states started to grow up. And while it was a scary place during the Victorian times, as they call it in UK, here in Europe they call it the Bella Epoch for travel. So you can travel everywhere, and people did, and they wrote a lot of literature at that time. They were very creative, did a lot of new inventions that they could sell across the globe, basically, even though there were some customs and trade restrictions. But in general, ideas spread, and the censorship was not good enough. So of course the media was lying like crazy, and you can read that especially during the wars. But even before World War I, you had horrible propaganda, but it was possible to get out with other information, and you can publish papers anonymously, and they got a lot of attention. And of course, a lot of people died also and got addicted to all sorts of drugs and, this snake oil kind of medicine. And the food, it was really toxic. They had invented a lot of new stuff that made it better to produce food, etc. But it had a side effect that people died by eating it. So you got a lot of diseases from all of these new things. And the building methods and a lot of new inventions were really dangerous. Before you had dynamite, for example, you had even more scary stuff that were not secure to use, especially not by people not used to them. So it was not perfect, but humanity expanded a lot until they started. Humanity went full speed ahead, growing, expanding, knowledge were growing, and then straight into a World War I trench and the genocidal communist revolutions, and into a central banking world that is controlled by blackmail. So you can, figuratively speaking, you can see it as it was a totally different global empire that got destroyed by these psyops. And the nose is running because it's cold. If you're not used to that, you're not used to this country. So that's just how it is. So, bacon. It's actually kosher, according to a Jew. You just have to smash a Quran with it, then it's fine. So this Jake Lang was making a scene in Dearborn and slapped the Quran with bacon. So he's a Jew. He is a violent Jew. He was using a bat with a spike that he used on January 6th and trying to make a lot of violence. Of course, he ended up in prison, but he was treated very well and could run that prison. He got millions in donations from Gives and Go, and was a spoiled Jewish brat. His sister was a terrorist. She served in the IDF, the terrorist organization that Israel call its military. And here in Dearborn, he was provoking the Muslims, and then Muslims, so-called Muslims, that were working for so-called far-left organization. We call them Jewish organizations or NGOs. They were getting upset about that. Of course, they didn't actually kill him because, they were instructed to help the other Jew to create this psyop, basically. So that's what the video was about. And then you can see this Palestinian from Dearborn, and he had never heard about any Sharia law, and provocateurs, they were not from there, and he talks to this real January 6er that is a true patriot, and he wants peace, law and order, and of course they have nothing against each other and join each other to destroy this Jewish psyop, and who promotes this fake and gay provocation that the Jews are doing between Muslims and Christians. Tommy Robinson, can you guess that? Yeah, who promoted Tommy Robinson? Jeffrey Epstein. Is that a good look? Of course it's not. They are now making total fools of themselves, and all I have to say is remove, invent and build. We have a lot of more removing to do before we can do any good inventions, but we are getting there as long as they are keep doing stupid stuff. Here you see a mountain pine and a tuya and blue spruce here. Very foreign trees for this area. And of course an oak that don't grow here either, except that they do nowadays. Santa Claus, he's very famous for believing that there are no Jewish conspiracy theorists. He's also famous for not existing. So I think that we see a connection there. So this Chris Manahan has listed and talked in an article that I linked to, but I talked about it before. All these Jewish organizations and conferences, Jewish leaders of America, the Zionists, Jewish supremacist organizations for enslavement of Goyim. I don't think they have an organization called exactly that, but similar organizations, and they have a lot of organizations. And what on earth should we think? Maybe we should think that they would create something like Cars for Kids, that you spell with a K in the beginning and the 444, the number. So Cars for Kids is an organization that Ben Shapiro was promoting, and it was taking money from everyone so that Jewish rich brats, entitled pieces of garbage, could get free stuff. So that's what they do: lie, cheat and steal, and then they pay the victims, of course, while they are genociding. If someone says CIA killed JFK, yeah, it's spelled Mossad. They do spell it a little bit wrong though. The Swedish word is M-O-S-A-D, and that means smashed. And that's exactly what should happen to Mossad. It should be Mossad or Mossad. I don't know the Swedish grammar for Mossad. Is it en Mossad or et Mossad? you experts in Swedish grammar, you can tell me. So yeah, it should be Mossad, and the same with IDF, the terrorist organization, Unit 8200, and all this Hasbara psyops. Don't ask me if Jake Lang got Hasbara money. I don't think so. He probably got some other Jewish money. Trump was signing the Epstein release of papers. So now it's up to Pam Bundy to release whatever she wants. So I think we will soon be able to conclude that all this shit redacted was behind it. So that will be amazing, and they are still not arresting Les Wexner. Elon Musk was caught on video to talk with or close to Albert Porla. I said Alberto, but well, he's not Italian, he's Greek. Albert Borla, the CEO of Pfizer. I think that Elon Musk just asked about these cancer drugs. He's generally curious. But I did write to X again, a new appeal that I do almost every day, and complain that as they can't specify why which posts were bad and which rules that they broke, it's obvious to everyone that it's my critique of Israel and Larry Ellison that is the reason why they deleted me without due process. And it turns out that we have a Swedish data protection agency. and you can report to them that they suspended me without due process. And then the AI gave me a suggestion for some law firms, and the AI in this case was Brave AI, the search engine. So maybe we'll see if they get scared. And the surprising fact, no one ever has sued X for suspending their paid accounts. That's weird. Maybe it's enough to take it to a lawyer that sends something and then they settle before they even settle. But it's weird that no one has sued X for this blatant bullshit. Of course, they have something in their legal terms that make it impossible, but still. Brandon Taylor Moore, he got a post hidden. So he was mentioning Synagogue of Satan, and that's hateful conduct. All this antiseptic kind of censorship. Either they have to censor the Bible, the New Testament, or they can just baptize the entire ID in fire. I suggest the later. Truth Troll on X, he had prepared to visit some synagogues in occupied Palestine. So he made a bag filled of stuff that you need. It looks promising, or well, strange stuff. Very fun. You have the meme on my Substack that is free to look at and free to subscribe to, unless you want to pay a little bit extra. Sometimes I post something private there. According to Max Blumenthal and the Grey Zone, USA is at Gaza and together with some European, and they are helping Israel to guard there. You can be criticizing this, but I think that Palestine, Israel included, should be occupied by NATO. It will cost a fortune, they will probably steal and do a lot of evil stuff while doing it, but it's not general, the usual kind of occupation and forever wars for the Jews. It's self-defense. We can't let these criminals have a safe haven in West Asia. So take the bad with the less bad, at least. Unless you have a better idea, of course. Here in Europe, they might actually fix something. This GDPR, the law against internet, basically, and it includes that you have to do a pop-up that says that this site is using cookies like every other bloody site, and you have to, well, click OK, or sorry, I don't want to use this site. So that's totally annoying, but they might actually get rid of that, maybe. I have my suspicions that nothing will change as usual, except for the worst, for the worse. Angry Warhawk is good at doing some informative videos about war, usually. But this one was about Zionism. And it says that only Jews can be Zionists. Anyone else who pretend to be Zionists, they aren't that, because Zionism is by the Jews and for the Jews and their supremacy. But I will absolutely have to add that you only Zionists can be anti-Semitic, and you should also remember to never call Israel that other word. It's a Hafrada state, and you should not even mention the other word, because if you use a word that is used to remind you about something that Europeans have done. So Hafrada means separation in a special way. It means that the Jews are apart, but they are not kept apart from others. So they can genocide, they can steal, plunder, and harass everyone outside of their safe haven. That's not how the other system from South Africa worked. So much, at least. I will not defend that in principle, but it's a Hafrada state. Use their words for their crimes. Important. Ignacia Fernandez, she won. Very much beauty, great beauty, Chilean beauty. She is a very chill beauty from Chile. And she can also growl like a total monster. A very beautiful monster. So yeah, she won the Miss World in Chile. I don't know how someone can be Miss World in Chile only, but that happened. And yeah, you can listen to her band if you like that kind of beautiful, very ugly music. Ugly in a good way, of course. I approve, totally. Here in Ljusdal, I voted, as I said yesterday, for these halls. The bandy hall. Oh, sorry. I have to correct that. I read some more information. It's actually not for bandy, this sport on ice. It's not for that. It will be used for that. It will basically only be used for that. But they had ideas. You can play car bingo. Yeah, really. All the old people who can't drive cars will go and play bingo in their cars. Somehow, yeah, that's not going to happen. So you can recognize here, if you are having been paying attention to the global issues, we were promised that this immigration would give us a huge it was an investment and it will be profitable, and now it costs a huge fortune, so we need more immigrants. And the climate, we need to invest in the climate, and we need to invest in the Ukrainian war, and we have to invest in these COVID vaccines that are now causing a lot of costs, except that it's killing old people, so we have to pay less retirement fees to them. So yeah, same arguments. It's a lot about feelings and this sports arena that will cost a lot of money to maintain. So it's not an investment, it's a rent-seeking thing. And yeah, so they are basically just stealing money and doing not profitable investments. And I hope you can use similar kinds of noticing the pattern in your local issues that you have across the globe. But with that wisdom, see you again tomorrow for the Day of Love.